Mine, I guess, again. You said on media day that you really had no expectations for this team because of how many new guys you had. I wondered if you've formed any expectations over the last few weeks of what you think you're capable of.
I don't know that, because I know what you're searching for, and actually, like, we're going to win this amount of games, we're going to place this or whatever. I think we've made good strides. I from the standpoint of getting out and seeing us against other guys, because right now the one thing we have in practice is a lot of competition. I think that the biggest thing that will be different for our guys as we go into Sunday, we go into next Friday, we go into next Tuesday, is the element where they have to function in terms of how costly mistakes can be, both offensively and defensively. And I think with the depth we have, those mistakes will be penalized by not playing as much as maybe somebody would want to play. With that said, I think things can come more into view for me in terms of expectations as we get through that. Because right now, practice has been very competitive. It's been, for the most part, we've liked the direction we've gone in. But as I always remind them at the end of practice, I'm only going to play 5 of you at a time. That's what the rules state. So doing your job and doing it effectively is going to be huge for us.
You've had some teams here that have looked deep at the start of the season, and then maybe you didn't use as much depth as everybody thought you were going to. Who would you compare maybe this team with to some of your other teams as far as the ability you think you're going to have to go maybe 9 or 10 deep?
Well, I always say we're deep so you guys will get off my back early on. No, I think, honestly, very good question. In terms of what we have today, I'm trying to think back. Probably the most we've played was 07. Probably, nine guys deep. I would venture to say, now you don't have Odin, type of guys, but I think from that perspective, I would say that's probably it. And the good thing that I like, and it's been a little bit of more of a challenge in the preseason here, is like putting teams together every day in terms of saying, okay, I want this guy to run this position today, I want this guy to run this position. Now we got to flip, and okay, today we'll put this team as a big ball type package. This team will be a small ball, but move this guy to the bigger of the wing position. So I think that's been challenging but fun. I give our guys credit; they've all done a pretty good job of embracing what their role is on that particular day. Mm-hmm.
How would you? Might be
Yeah, I think with D'Angelo, I've liked the progression he's made to this point. Maybe a little bit premature. I want to see him with the lights on. I want to see him go through some ups and downs of the season. He's been able to demonstrate that he can play himself out of bad situations in practice where maybe he's not doing as well as he wants to or we want him to early, and he's bounced back and finished strong. Lends itself to, hey, I think he's got some pretty good mental toughness to him to make those plays. He does a lot in terms of what he brings to the table. With his passing, his ability to score, like I said, I like what I've seen. Just his overall awareness as a freshman is pretty high up there with what we've had in here.
one quick follow-up. What you expected?
Well, I think in different ways. You look statistically, the biggest impact freshman we've probably had has been Jared, just in terms of his points and rebounds, what he brought to the table. Obviously, if probably too early to put him in that category because Jared was the National Freshman of the Year. But I think from the standpoint of, D'Angelo would obviously affect the game a little bit differently than Jared would. I'm trying to think who else along those lines is.
Because all the examples of players.
Yeah.
Like, maybe the standpoint of minutes and how much.
Yeah, it's not fair to D'Angelo. No, I think from the standpoint with him, the thing that he's probably exhibited that I've liked is just a competitive spirit. He's accustomed to winning, and he does as much as he can in practice to help his team win. And find ways to win, be it scoring, passing, defensively, whatever it is, and I like that thinking at his young age.
In your mind, the ones that aren't.
Well, I thought I had it until yesterday's practice. Honestly, I thought I had a really, really good feel, and then yesterday's practice, a couple guys did some things that I'd been waiting for them to do. So today's practice is going to be very, very important. Now, will I go home tonight knowing who my stars are going to be on Sunday? I don't know that, but it's funny that you asked because I had okay, here's who I'm starting on Saturday or Sunday, and then boom, did that change yesterday in the scrimmage portion of practice. We scrimmaged quite a bit yesterday with officials, and so I'm eager to get out there today and see if anybody else can change my mind the way they did yesterday. Yeah, maybe in my mind, but I don't want them to know that. Just so today and tomorrow will be really, really good practices because, as I told them yesterday, I was a little bit upset with how a couple guys played and just said, hey, I hope that the thing we have this year is if you want to take a night off that we can just go ahead and sit you for the rest of the game because I got somebody else that's going to play. But I know for us to have our best team, we need everybody to be playing at the level you're capable of playing.
Thad, with Shannon sliding back into the primary point guard role this year, what do you think he took from that experience last year, having to sort of swallow his pride a little bit maybe and play alongside Aaron, either take from it on the court or maybe in his personal development?
Probably a better question for him. But I think, for just stating the opportunity that Shannon has this year as a senior point guard, he has proven that he has played some great basketball at Ohio State. I think now is the time for him to be as consistent as he possibly can in terms of being a point guard, being a lead guard. If we were to play he and D'Angelo together, we can kind of move them around. But I like the responsibility he's taken in terms of just his overall presence on the floor in terms of getting guys to do what they're supposed to do. And maybe he was a tad bit apprehensive with Aaron on the court with him saying, hey, you do it, I'll be okay. But I think he's taken that to heart this season.
That not just, there's a lot of freshmen talk about D'Angelo, but more freshmen than him. Anthony is a newcomer to this team. He played last year. Just when you've had everybody together in these early practices and with that trip to the Bahamas, I guess a lot of things you're trying to look at is team chemistry, their togetherness. Can you get like an early gauge on if that's going to be a battle or not throughout the season? Is it kind of happening naturally with this group? What can you tell?
Yeah, I think that the camaraderie of this team has been probably, at this point, exceeded my expectations now. Guys get a little bit testy, they get a little bit feisty in terms of their competitive nature in practice, which I think is a good thing. Our what we've always wanted is just channeling the right emotions. I say there's a difference between being a teammate and being a friend. You can be a friend, in the locker room, but being a teammate in practice, it is ultra competitive. You have to push. You have to fight for yours, but you have to do it within what we're trying to do. And I think that's one of the biggest things you fight with a young team is channeling the energy, the tension that they have towards the development of the basketball team, not so much themselves. And when that happens, guys tend to play better.
The other part of that is when you bring in some new recruits, their receptiveness, is it what you thought it would be? Like getting them to listen, to buy into what you're telling them without having to tell them a bunch of times?
Yeah, I've been very pleased with the coachability that all of our guys have had. I think that they've done a very nice job of being tuned in and listening, and knowing that our staff is on a daily basis trying to get you to play your best basketball that you possibly can. We're not going to ask you to do something that you can't do, but we're going to hold our standards pretty high of what we're going to ask you to do. And I think guys have been receptive to that.
Who's the easiest to coach?
Of the new guys?
Of anybody, maybe.
You know, it's funny because I haven't had any like major problems with guys. You know, I love Jayshawn Tate's energy every single day. You know what you're going to get with him in terms of just his toughness he brings to the table.
Shannon, you said that there were times maybe last year that he was apprehensive. I think he'd be the first to admit that he's waited a long time, not taking anything away from Aaron, but to run this team, and this is why he came here. How hard is it to transform someone's mentality to being able to just control everything and be the guy? And second of all, do you anticipate that taking the shackles off maybe a little bit might translate into a different type of play for him?
Yeah, I think it can. You know, I've always wanted Shannon to be very aggressive in terms of his ability to push the basketball to the floor. You know, he's extremely fast. He's extremely quick. But shackles is a unique word, but no, I think he understands what I want him to do and how I want him to do it. And when I say me, meaning what the team needs to be done, and we need that constant thrust on the defense. And you know, defensively, he's been phenomenal here in his time.
Well, not about Shannon, but with Amir, I think he'd be the first to admit that maybe he hasn't lived up to the expectations of being a McDonald's All-American. He now has some new competition. You guys brought in some guys. How is he reacting, and how has he responded to, you know, the fact that not only this is his last go-around, but at the same time you guys have guys that can play that if he's not playing the way you need him to?
Yeah, I think that's been, not only at that position, but a lot of the positions, has been a very advantageous thing for guys. And you know, we've had throughout the practices we've had this fall, if a guy doesn't want to come, he wants to, you know, kind of sit on the fence, he's probably going to look pretty bad in practice that day. And you know, things like from Steve's question, things change daily. And you know, Amir has been probably better than he's been in his first 3 years here in terms of consistency. Now, is it to the level that I would like on a daily basis? We're getting there, but I think that he has shown some flashes of like, hey, this is what we have to have, and it's nothing spectacular. It's him finishing around the basket. It's him kind of owning the paint, rebounding the basketball, and running the floor.
Mark, how is he coming back? And this time, you know, further behind than what you would like?
No, you know, he had the flu. Like most of us in here, he lost like 8 pounds in a day. We could all use that, I think, but I don't know if it's worth the flu, what he went through. But we held him. He practiced Friday, and then Saturday morning he was calling the trainer saying, hey, I've had a really rough night. And then Sunday he shot. We held him out. So the biggest thing we've been trying to do this week is just get his weight back up, but he's shown no effects. He's a little bit tired early, and I guess Monday, we practiced Tuesday, we were off, and I was kind of saying like, hey, you know, don't forget he lost 8 pounds in a day there or so. But his stamina was back yesterday. He looked really good.
Is he probably going to play?
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. He's practiced Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. Practice today. Yeah. Yep.
Shannon made it sound, well, you think you have the ability to play Sounded like the week.
It changes throughout practice. I'd like to play more. Can we stick with it all the way through? I don't know that. I think that we do have the capabilities to play both. I don't know how effective we are at either one of them today, but hopefully we're a little bit better than, we're looking at the percentages of practice and what we're doing against each other, and we like what we've seen from both defenses. But it will be interesting to see how how it unfolds.
Everybody besides Loving.
Yeah, everybody is good. Yep. Knock out.